Okay, so at the beginning of this month, we did some updates to cables. We kind of felt that what we were working on dev was in a pretty solid stage to push it to live. And as we do usually, we will just walk through the blog post for the release. Again, as same with the topic before. If you have any questions or any feedback, just feel free to interrupt us wherever we are talking. And with that, we just start going through the blog post. And the first thing that we mentioned in the blog post, also the first thing that I want to mention here. So we started asking for support on Patreon a few months ago, I think 2 or 3 months. That turned out pretty good. So now we got something like 18 to 20 people actually financially supporting us with cables development, and that actually turned out to give us enough money to kind of update our servers and work on that. So we spent some time optimizing page load speed, optimizing server infrastructure, working on making cables faster. So if you can like chip in some money, just be aware that we're actually spending this on cables development and infrastructure, and we get some more things up our sleeves that we want to do with the money. Thanks for the support of everyone. Keep on giving. Yes. Yeah, and as Pando also showed, like you get your name. Like if you can connect your Patreon account with cables, you get some credits on the credits page, and also like an icon on your user profile. So that being said, that's what we do with the money that comes in through Patreon. And the next thing would be the so-called new activity feed. We always thought that it was possible for a long time to actually invite people into teams and patches and share patches to collaborate with. And then with the last releases, we kind of fine-tuned on permissions and how that works. But this invite page was a bit convoluted for what we thought. So we created a place where we basically combine any and all activity that is going on cables around you or your teams and patches in the new activity feed. Pandora already clicked on the icon that is new on the top right in the navigation next to your avatar. And for Pando, it also has like an indicator that there's something that needs some attention. So all the invites, you being invited, you someone requesting access to your patches or teams or whatever will now appear in the activity feed with this red bubble up there. But we're also collecting even more than this. So if we scroll down a bit, we will now see that whenever someone follows you on cables or likes your patches or even just reacts to your invitations or requests, we are putting this here. So you're always able to see what's up. So, and if you don't have any actionable things, so if Pando now accepts my invite, basically, then this thing will be empty. And if you get some new like for your patch or something, this will update and have like a small white indicator for you to see that things happen. We're trying to build more on this, so patch list will surely follow on something happen to a patch list you're a member of, or liking patch lists, or whatever activity there is, and to not keep this too convoluted. This will be this data, like any data on the activity feed that is not in need of taking action, is retained for 30 days, and then deleted, because we all know that these things pile up a lot. So that's the new place where we work with invites and you can see whatever happens. But some things are really, really urgent and get lost a lot. So especially invites or requests for collaboration rights, we thought it would be nice to react immediately and also be notified immediately. So we dove into what we do with notifications. So up until now, for example, someone invited you to a patch, and the only way you will know this is either by reloading cables or being notified on the website with this old red button. But now we are also able to give you this information in the editor with a small indicator, or via push notifications on basically any device that that has a browser. So on this page, now you can click on add this device. It will ask you for permissions to do this. You can allow this, and then to test this, you can press this send button to see if all your operating system settings allow for this. So we send a test notification, and with that, with that working, you will now be notified of any invite or request on mobile phones wherever you want. And yeah, these are other browsers and on mobile phone. And we try to keep it as low as possible, so it's only actionable things that you're being notified of.
Yeah, it's only important things that like someone wants something from you, basically, right?
Yeah, you need to do something. And this, I think, is a pretty good way to not be distracted. So once you get a push notification and you're in the editor, you get an icon in the editor, you click that, and then in the editor you can react on this call to action, basically.
Yeah.
So that's a big cleanup thing that we did with notifications, activity feed, and centralizing the invites, and keep you a bit more updated on what's happening and what needs action.
Yeah, I really like to receive the notifications on the mobile phone. I don't really want it on the desktop, but on the phone, it's really handy that I see, there's something, someone wants something. So yeah, but yeah, we try to keep it non-spammy, and I think then it's really useful and not annoying in the end. That's the hope.
Yeah, along with that, as always, came some improvements to different parts of the website. For example, the patch page, but you will see this on the blog post. But yeah, more updates on editor changes, small quality of life thingies that I guess Panda will show you around a bit.
Yeah, so we improved the texture preview functionality. I really use it a lot. So if you click on a texture and open this panel here, you see the preview. You can now easier zoom it in and out, and you also see the size of it, which really helps with just understanding the picture that you're looking at. Yeah, then we added those color indicators. It's really still a bit experimental, but in this example, in this patch, for example, you can see really clearly that this is the red one, and if you scan over the patch, you will know this is the material of this rectangle, so you can identify in many cases really quickly what is drawing what. So that's really helpful. Maybe there will be more. We will improve that or make it more, I don't know, feature rich, but yeah, for now we really like it, and yeah, you have to experiment with it. So it's also always great to hear if you like this or not, or if you have some other ideas. There's this function to colorize the operators. So it's kind of like the same. So maybe the colorize should override this, or does it exist in parallel? I don't know. Like, so we will experiment with this kind of stuff. It's for easier identification of operators that are important, or where there are to-dos, or I don't know, like,
It's
yeah.
also super handy to have an overview of all the materials or operators that work with color, because you have like this texture and all the visuals, but you put them in after you're trying to get an overview. But this gives you in bigger patches a really great overview of where is this red coming from, where is this blue coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we're experimenting with this. Let's see where it goes. Um, then we have this little color scheme op, which I find really, really cool. So you can read out the operating system settings of your users. So you could, for example, you could do the haunted house at night. It's a bit darker, or at day there's a bright background or something, depending on the user. So
Yeah, I actually just thought the same thing. Like, it would be super nice to have this haunted house and super not scary if you have
yeah.
like a light mode.
And it's really, the nice thing is there's super real time. I mean, it's not really uh, that useful, but you can just have this operator, and when you switch your operating system to another color, it just changes in real time. I don't know. I thought it's a neat thing. So you could just adjust stuff on your screen to what the user prefers right now. So yeah, I really like this. This thing could be a neat feature. Um, okay, manage opcode. So this is when you program your own operators. We had this, actually, we had this panel here. So this was divided in two, which was always a bit annoying. So when you resize the viewport, it would show a different second panel. And if you make it small, then it was always confusing to which panel cable switches back. So we completely removed the second panel because a lot of the stuff was already has already been moved to the code editor and to the tab panel where also the code editor lives, like the file panel, for example. And yeah, so we went further this way. So the code meta panel, which you used all the time when you programmed operators, is now gone. So you can click an operator that belongs to you. Let me quickly use this one. So this is a user operator. So now I have those icons here. So this means I can edit this operator directly here, or I can click this icon, and then it opens up this new panel that we now call Manage Op. That was the code uh, tab panel on the right, and you can now do create your attachments here and add libraries to your operators, and all this kind of stuff. You can just do it here now, and you can reach this like multiple ways. Like you can click this button here when you're editing an op. You see now there are a few more buttons up here, so you can click this manage op, and then you're here again. And what's super handy is you can I need a different operator for this. This is because I'm on live. Let me just quickly go to dev. So when I'm editing this operator, for example, so this operator also has shader attachments, for example. So you see this button here, and then you can quickly open a new editor with the other attachment from this operator, and you can just open all the attachments and then switch through them which is super handy because you don't need to switch to this tab and like move around the screen and all those different contexts. Now you just have this editor, and the editor now tells you this is the basic material, and it has those attachments, and I can just quickly open them, which is really convenient and also makes it more accessible and easier to find your way through the operator codes. Yeah, I think this really neat. It's a bit you have to get used to it, but I think it's like after now with all the ways to open those things, it's actually way better than before, and the screen is not so convoluted. And also, you can resize this and make it really wide, which is also handy in many cases.
This also gives some space to this canvas info bar.
Oh yeah, right. So this bar here, it was in the old version, it was faded out in the bottom, and you had to click the canvas to resize it. So now this resize button, this resize thing is always there. You can always resize it, which is also really handy. And in the beginning, like we showed all the icons, but I thought it was a bit distracting. So if you have this panel open and you have all the icons, it's a bit too much. So we just fade them out to only show them when the canvas is focused. And yeah, I don't know if you have any opinion about this. Let us know. It's really interesting, and I don't know. We just want to keep the UI relatively clean, so this is why we fade this out. But yeah, could also be user setting. I'm not sure. I really like it this way. Also, there's no distraction with the out fading and overlapping. There was some overlapping, but yeah. Let us know what you think about this. Yeah, this is also now, it was always a problem that like things were hidden when you are resizing. So now it opens this, it shows you those little context menu here, and there you can also select all the functionalities. So we just move them out of the way, and you can still open the functionality. So it's much cleaner now, I think. Yeah. So then there's the PBR material. I don't know, maybe CFlab is in the meetup and wants to say something about it.
Yeah, I can also show the changes if you like.
Yeah, that would be great. Are you streaming?
Yes, I think so.
Yep. Okay.
All right, so there were two changes to the PBR material in this update. Basically, one of them was more control of the clear code. So if you now create a PBR material, you have some options for the clear code, which is basically normal map related, and also the intensity is also exposed. So we have the clear code intensity here, which is the intensity of the clear code. And you have the option to use the mesh normal map for the clear code effect as well, or use a separate one. For instance, like in this example, I have two normal maps, one for the background object and one for the foreground, basically, and they're overlaying each other.
Oh, nice.
So for instance, here you have the background object and the foreground is then overlaying with like a different clear code normal. This can be very useful for stuff like orange peel effects or some more shenanigans with clear code. So yeah, the second edition was also kind of clear code related, but a little bit thinner, which is thin film interference. So if you scroll down here, you can see that below the clear code you have the thin film iridescence, which is basically an effect where you get some wave optics into a physically based renderer and take into account interference that happens on thin surfaces. So basically, it's complicated from a physics point of view, but for the usability, is basically you set an intensity for the thin film. So how intense should the effect be? You set the IOR of the thin film, so the index of refraction of the film that you use, and then the thickness. This is basically the only three values you need, and then you can tweak the effect. So yeah, for an artist, maybe the IOR is a little bit confusing, but it's basically just a factor of contribution. So if the IOR is very high, you get a lot of wavelength in there, so the effect gets a little bit less intensive, but with more colors. And the thickness is basically also kind of controlling how many wavelengths are coming in. And if you have a high thickness, you usually have a more pastel colors, more desaturated colors. So for the most intense effects, you use like a low thickness and a low IOR. And then you get like some nice colorful waves.
So is there a way to establish specific colors for iridescence, or just play around with the values?
Basically, you can use physically based values. So if you want to use this to create like colored iron or something where you know that there's a certain thickness to a certain color, then you can use the IR slider basically to match the color, and then go from there. You can use physically based values. So
Just
if you want specific colors,
why I ask, I started playing Forza Motorsport, if anybody's into that, but they have a kind of custom color selector, and you can actually create multi-layer flaking. So like on one side it's orange, and then the second layer can be, whatever color, where you can do purple and blue, or similar to those iridescent color wraps and paints that you may have seen on vehicles.
Yeah, I mean most multicolored vehicles use like different flakes, as far as I'm aware, where you have like different reflection behavior between certain types of flakes. So this is strictly thin film iridescence, so also not an optical grid or anything like this. So there's a lot of effects that can create rainbows. This is just one of them. So.
Feel very cool. Like this helps us a lot on some of the projects that we're even thinking about working on.
Yeah, basically, for an artist, it's more important to kind of understand what these values do. Like the IOR can be very technical, but you can also just like wiggle it to the left and the right. And if you know, okay, I have a high IOR, so I have a lot of colors in the Fresnel or something, then you can work with this. One of the most important parts of this is basically that the difference of the base IOR and the IOR of the thin film control the intensity of the color. So if you have a metallic surface like this, and then a low IOR for the thin film, then you get a very intense color. You can also see this if you decrease the metalness of the surface. So for instance, here we have a IOR of 2, and the base IOR of the surface is 1.5, around there for a dielectric material. So you can see the effect decreasing towards 1.5 and then getting stronger again. So you can see around 1.5, the effect is very subtle, and if you go up or if you go down, it gets more intense. Basically one of the main things you have to think about when working with this.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, so you can also plug in the texture. The texture is a bit homebrewn, so this is not really commonly how it is exposed. Where we have 3 channels, one for the intensity, which is red. The green one is for the what was it again? I think it was the thickness, and the blue one was the IOR. So you basically expose the intensity, again, like just the intensity of the effect, and the green channel holds a value from 0 to 1, which is getting remapped to the thickness that is provided in this section here. So you basically have this text min, text max, so the value from 0 to 1 is remapped to these values. This is in line with GLTF spec, and the only thing that is kind of uncommon, I guess, is the IOR value, which is exposed as 1 divided by IOR in the blue channel of this texture. So yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
Maybe this is kind of the example that you mean. Like this helmet, for instance, has like a slight IOR, like a thin film on it, which is causing this yellow color. And if you change the IOR, you get like different kind of colors for different people, for instance. I don't know.
Then you could also mask it. And isn't there also a GLTF extension for it? I think we should also
yes.
implement
but this one doesn't really specify a composite map for this. So it's basically just 2 maps for the intensity and for the thickness. And the thickness is also remapped from like a start value to an end value. And it doesn't really expose the IOR in the texture, but I think this can help people, so I added it.
But yeah, we need to add it to the GLTF scene loader so that it uses those values automatically, right? That would be possible. I
Yeah, that'd be
think
cool. Yeah.
we should look into this.
And
Yeah,
also, this is entirely dependent on the normals. So you basically take the normals and then do some math on them. So you can use a like nifty normal map to also get some cooler effects, I guess.
yeah, this is so cool.
So if you have any questions or suggestions on this, feel free to message me on Discord.
Yeah, thanks for the contribution and thanks for showing this. Really neat stuff to play around with.
Yeah, really cool effects. Yeah, great stuff, and I think it's also the PBR material feels so advanced now. It's really great. I also have to play with it with those two normal maps. That's actually, yeah, I need to learn this. This is really great stuff. Thank you.
While we are in op territory, I think kind of wants to show something.
Yeah, exactly. So somehow it's not landed in the blog post, but we really like the new operator called rectangle 9-slice. The name seems a bit complicated, but it's actually a standard way of doing things. Often it's used in games. This technology. So the idea is that you have just create one image, and you can basically divide this image in 9 parts, and those 9 parts are mapped onto a rectangle. So I can create a rectangle that I just I can do this here. I can just resize, and usually if you just have so if I just use a rectangle here, and I would change the width and the height, you see it would just stretch out, right? But the 9-slice rectangle just takes, in this case, it takes a quarter of the image and just moves this to the side, and then you don't have any stretching, but you can create buttons or areas for text with it, and you can use. Yeah, please. I thought there was a question. You can use more complex textures like this, for example, and create nice buttons, and you can just switch the texture and change some parameters to create different buttons like this one, for example. Yeah, so here's the point material that just shows how the rectangle is basically composed, right? So those are the vertices, and when I change the width, you see the corners stay the same size, and only the inner part is being stretched. So yeah, really useful stuff if you have a lot of buttons or other content to show and want to create this and don't want to create a texture for it all the time.
You also use this to create some shadow.
Yeah, exactly. So you can also use this to create like fake flat shadows under objects and just resize it so that it fits. Really handy stuff. So if I do make this texture really small, even smaller. Okay, doesn't really work with this case. Sorry. So this texture is actually pretty cool because this is a generated texture. So this is with the gradient texture operator. So you can set it to radial, and then you get this circle, and this works perfectly with the operator. So I can go in here and make this more blurry, for example. And then you see it kind of already looks like a shadow. So I can set this to black, and then you can place it underneath an object, and then it kind of looks like a shadow. So really handy stuff, especially with the gradient texture operator combined. You can do interesting effects. Yeah, really neat operator, we think. Yeah, I think that's the release, right? Yeah.
small rundown of the release, but it was also just 1 month between the two releases. As always, like, let us know what you think about the release and everything, and like, give some feedback to Ilya and Digital Panda as well, even if it's just like, hey guys, well done.
Yeah, okay. So we will stop now the recording on YouTube and then just continue with basically the social part. So everybody on Discord can just join in, ask questions, and just talk about anything you want to
And
talk.
if you watch this on YouTube, join the next meetup on Discord. We usually do this on the something. On the second or third Wednesday of the month, which next month would be, no, it's just whatever, 13th of December.
Yeah.
So join us then and there.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.